Good morning, everyone. My name is Armelita Sifalier, and this morning I am going to discuss Lesson 12. It's all about gamification and teaching English. Objectives. In this lesson, you will be able to define gamification, apply gamification in teaching English, and suggest ways to improve teaching using gamification. Again, our topic, it's all about gamification and teaching English. So, gamification from the word game. And I know every one of you already have an idea what is mean by game. So, again, is something like when a person engage in these activities. Probably, there is a winner and there is a loser. And sometimes games, it is a competition between people. It can be individually or a group. So, according to definition, gamification is integration of game-like mechanics and traditionally non-gaming scenarios. So, gamification, in other words, is when we integrate our teaching process. For example, when you are a teacher or I am a teacher in a young level. So, and the topic that I have discussed, it's all about strengthen. So, I have to correctly a game or activity that it is related to that topic. So, in that game, it can help to the learners to easily understand the topic. And most importantly, through this game, we can give a fully attention to the learners. In schools, gamification has been incorporated in various aspects of education. So, as we can observe, and schools are encouraged to join or participate different activities in schools. So, where they can enjoy at the same time, they can learn because through those game or any activities, they could be encouraged the students to attain their schooling. Gamification is not as simple as handing the learners a game to play. The teacher must carefully structure the classroom in order for the game elements in the classroom to be more effective to the learners. So, gamification, dili lang siya as simple as handing the learners because there have many things that the teacher has to consider before effectively integrate game and lesson. In order to effectively implement game in our teaching, we have four elements that at the core of gamification. First is engagement. Second is opportunities for practice. Third is assessment. And the last one is feedback. So, let's to know first the engagement. Engagement. So games are naturally engaging. The most successful games are the ones that are really engaging to the players. So, in line with this, the effective games are those where the players are naturally engaged. They can participate or play actively. It's something like they are the one who act in order to achieve their goals. They are the one who think for any strategies to responding and to consist their class. Next is opportunities for practice. Games provide the players with opportunities to practice what they have learned in the past and let them apply these learnings in new and creative ways. So, in through games, the learners can develop different skills and also improve their knowledge because games provide the opportunities for players to practice what they have learned. And mao ni siya isa ka advantage or this is the one of the advantage of employing them activities in an learning process. Assessment. Game do not stop play to assess the player's knowledge and skills because assessment it is a part of a game and as we can observe that the players can improve their own knowledge and skills in many ways because through engaging different games. Assessment is intrinsically integrated in the gameplay as performance-based assessment. And the last one is feedback. Game continuously provide the players feedback to simply let them know how they are doing in the game. Game tally score are keep track to the player's progress throughout the gameplay. Feedback is clearly important in this teaching strategy, the player to evaluate their performance by knowing at the player's score. So, those are the four elements that the teacher could consider in gamifying their learning experiences. In the first element are the players should actively engage in games. They could learn from those experiences. And second, give the opportunities to learn and apply what they have learned. And now, let's proceed in order to incorporate the game and learning experience. The teacher should consider the following. First is, the teacher should have a clear idea in the linguistic aims of the lesson. Before the teacher integrate games in their teaching process, they have to be knowledgeable regarding their lesson. Next is, the teacher should ensure a lot of learning interaction and productivity during the lesson. So, the teacher should make sure that all learners are interact and gamified learning experience. In collaborative concepts, the teacher can make the gamified learning experience more engaging to the learners. So, we have to use a collaborative concepts for them to interact effectively. Is allow elements of learning autonomy as they create and adapt rules and solve the problems along the way. So, teacher should allow the learners to discover their own way of learning, but letting them create or adapt rules and solve the problem along the way. As always, the teacher will act as a facilitator to support student learning process. Next is give accurate and actionable feedback on language and multiple points and the lesson. So, when you are a teacher, make sure that you have to provide feedback immediately to the learners and make sure that it is accurate and appropriate to the students to evaluate themselves. And the last one is allow the learners to have multiple opportunities to complete the game. So, in creating the game, the teacher should provide opportunities to the learners. Since your learners has different abilities and you have to consider if they are multiple opportunities, they can think critical and choose wisely. So, those are the important the teacher should consider before the incorporating game and learning experience. So, and now let's proceed in how could gamification implemented in the classroom. So, before the sum of the steps that could be taken and gamify the lessons. So, first step, we have a survey learners. Second is define the learning goals. Third is structure the gamified experience. And fourth is identify resources. And the last one is apply feedback mechanism. So first, survey the learners. So in order to determine the right gamification strategy for the learners, the teacher needs to pinpoint exactly where the learners are having trouble with. For instance, if slides presentation before them, adding interact elements might improve learning engagement. This is why surveying them is important. Teachers will be able to find the ways to engage the learners better. Step 2. We have a define the learning goals. Gamifying learning involves providing the learners with clear learning goals. This comes into two forms. Learning goals, which help to the learners understand concepts and learners understand concepts and skills. And the other forms is behavior goals, which helps learners work efficiently. So, when the teacher can structure the lesson to meet these goals, before the teacher can plan or organize his or her teaching process, he or she must define first their learning goals in its lesson so that those learning could be their guide. Step 3, we have a structure the gamified experience. So these are where actual gaming elements are incorporated in the lesson. So at this part, teacher would apply the game in the said learning experience. The teacher can adjust the scoring system for the lesson or activity. For example, instead of giving points or grades, learners could be given experience points or XP and use it to track their progress in the lesson. Step 4, we have a identify resources. For any activities, the teacher should also identify the resources needed to actually implement the lesson or activity. So, in step 4, we have also identified our resources for our games activity. Also, the learning materials should be available to avoid time waste just finding those needed materials. And the last one, we have a apply feedback mechanism. A big part of the success of games is because they provide the learners immediate feedback of their progress. So, we all aware that giving feedback to the learner's performance is very significant. Also, gamification feedback is one of the way the success of the game because through the feedback we can identify what is the strength and weaknesses of the certain games to effectively implement the gamification in student learning experience. So the teacher should provide an immediate appropriate feedback for their learners. So, and you are a teacher, you can give a feedback in different ways, especially in elementary grades because and this student is very inactive. And those are the steps to implement gamification in classroom. So, as a future teacher, always remember that the main of effective of gamification is to simple to make learning fun and engaging to the learning. And that's all. Thank you and God bless us all.